All right, guys. Good morning. Hope you guys are well today. We are here. Hope you guys had a good and happy and safe weekend. Hope it was good. Let me get some music on for you, and then. Nvidia basically flat. You can see Apple here slightly down. What's the Nasdaq doing? Again, the big historic rebound has continued. Does anybody still think we're gonna crash? I guess is the question. Right? Like, does anybody still think that we're gonna have some type of like brutal stock market crash or anything like that? I don't know yet. You know, we do have this week's a big week. We had more stuff coming out last week, but this week we've got like a lot of stuff. We've got like yeah, so this week we have the Fed minutes on Wednesday. That's Jerome Powell's economic conference, the Jackson Hole Symposium. All right. There we go. Hey, what's up, Zeus, Ray, Sam, UT, Radical, Michael, Hurst, Ty, Yair, Mars, Joseph, Lost, Justin. What's up, guys? Good morning. Well, I mean, a crash is eventually going to happen. I mean, it always does, right? But I guess what I'm saying is, does anybody think we're going to crash imminently? I guess is a better word for it. Like, does anybody still think we're going to crash in the next couple weeks? I'll tell you one of the scenarios where we could, right? It doesn't mean we are going to, but like one of the scenarios in which we could is, I'm trying to get one. I want an option. Is Nvidia earnings are next week. So Nvidia earnings are on the 28th, I believe. That's a big report. That's a massive, massive report, right? Like Nvidia earnings are huge. Yeah, so Nvidia earnings are massive. And so if Nvidia comes in like negative for earnings, if we have bad results for Nvidia earnings, somehow that's bad. Market could tank. Powell also met with some people, I believe, over the weekend. I saw an article. Yeah, a lot of people saying so Fortune basically said, honestly, dude, like they all started charging. They all store they're still in the New York Times business model where they give you just a little bit of the article and then they try to make you pay for the rest, which I'm never doing. Let me see if AI can interpret this here. Hold on. Chat GPT. All right, so I'm asking it to summarize the article. Oh, yeah, so it won't do it. All right. It's all good. We'll keep looking. Yeah, so a lot of people are wondering if Powell's going to signal like a huge rate cut on Jackson Hole on Friday. Friday at 11, I believe, is when... All right, so yeah, this is basically what happened. So Powell recently addressed concerns regarding the proposed Basel III endgame capital regulations during a meeting with bankers and testimony before Congress. It's a set of if you hear Basel III thrown around, it's a set of global banking regulations that are specifically trying to increase the capital reserves banks must hold to safeguard against financials. Powell met with bankers this weekend and acknowledged that the current proposal has faced a lot of opposition from banking, which is a huge industry that controls a lot of the world, to be honest. Banking argues that the increased cap requirements would hurt lending and hurt the economy. In response to that, Powell indicated that broad and material changes to the proposal are most likely going to happen. The Fed and other regulators are considering certain aspects of the plan, but they are probably going to change a lot of it. He also mentioned that an additional round of public commentary might be necessary if it has like big revisions, delaying the rules more. Yeah, and so again, with Jackson Hole coming out later this week and all that stuff, we'll see what happens here. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, so they honestly, it didn't let me. It says it seems I'm unable to access the web page directly. So yeah, I was hoping it would be a workaround, but oh well, it's all good. Again, the Nasdaq's slightly green on the day, believe it or not. If we look at like a lot of tech, Nvidia slightly red, Apple slightly red. If we look at the SPY's slightly green as well, but a lot of it's really flat. We did pump up a lot on Friday also. I think 4.0 is great, Faye. It's much, much better than the free version or like the cheaper versions. Like just in terms of all I can really go off of is what I use it for, which is a lot of the time like programming, like building scripts and stuff. So the original one, I'm not sure what it's called. Like 3.5 is good and all, but 4.0 is great. Right, like 4.0 fixes a lot of the, like in programming, there's something called spaghetti code, right? It basically means unorganized code from rookie programmers, right? The original model spits out mostly spaghetti code. Like it's not going to be the most organized code. You can ask it to organize it after the fact, but it's basically like loopholes and workarounds and stuff that make it not the best. 4.0 does a lot better. It still spits out spaghetti code, but it gets it a lot better. Yeah, a lot of websites have been doing that lately, Pawn, where it used to just be the New York Times that did that, right? Now Fortune and like all these other places are doing it too, unfortunately. Yeah, so this week's huge, guys. We got Powell speaking at 10 a.m. on Friday. We got jobless claims, flash manufacturing and services PMI on Thursday. We got the Fed minutes on Wednesday. Yeah, just a big week. Honestly, a lot of stuff going on. All right. All right, guys. So what time will they be speaking about rates? When? When do you mean? We'll do a poll here. I don't think I've done a poll yet. Let me. How much does the Fed cut rates next month? It's a good question, I think. 25 basis points, 50 basis points, no cut, and then or something else. Leave in chat. All right. I think we cut at 25 is what I'm going with. It could be 50 though. Market looks solid today. Not a lot of movement. Yeah, I mean, the market pushed up a lot Friday. We haven't given a lot of it back today, which is a good optimistic sign, I think. Yeah, so we don't really have much going on today. We got some bond auctions later, 3 and 6 month bonds. Waller speaking at 9:15, like right before the opening bell. That might cause some volatility and stuff. But my black eye's getting better though. Check it out. It's almost healed. Yeah, so it's getting a little bit better. Yeah, I hope they do 25 basis points. Again, balance is a key factor. You know, like again, last week we got the CPI report right. Like people demanded a prediction from me, and I told them, and I got it exactly right. We came in at as expected for inflation data, and again, the reason I predicted it correctly is again just balance, right? Like a lot of the time they're going to try to be balanced with everything, including economic numbers, to be honest, which might have implications for those numbers if I'm able to predict them just in pure balance. But number two, also based off of rate decisions, like they're very balanced. They don't want to crash. They don't want big financial turmoil under their watch. And so they're going to do their best to be balanced, you know. So, what's up, Justin? All right, guys. What's up, Sass? Nvidia tried to go green. I think Nvidia's one to watch this week too. It's all the way back up to 125s. It's essentially rebounded all the way back up close to highs here. The highs are right around 140, and so Nvidia's pumping up, you know, close to highs. What is the market saying? Nothing really. The market's not saying much right now. We're waiting. I think the market's going to be nervous this week leading into Jackson Hole, leading into the FOMC minutes report, leading into Nvidia earnings next week. I think everything's going to be, you know, yeah. Yeah, so next week we got GDP, durable goods, consumer confidence, PCE data next week. So yeah, so next week PCE data too. PCE's big, important. Palantir, let's take a look. Palantir's all the way up at almost 33s. Tesla up green today too. So Palantir's still pumping up here. Here's Tesla. Tesla at 217s. Pretty big week next week. Yeah, next week's a bigger week than this. I don't know. Like, it depends on how much weight you put on Jackson Hole, right? Like, Jackson Hole's big, but it depends on how much weight you put on it. Like, it's not like there's any major economic decisions that are being made regarding Jackson Hole and the whole economic symposium. But we will understand, like, I think this next week is going to be important for what Powell does, right? So what Powell decides to do is important, you know. So like I'm gonna be watching Jackson Hole specifically in mind of what is Powell gonna do in terms of rate decisions next month. I think that's why Jackson Hole is important, because we'll get to gauge what Powell is thinking, whether he's gonna for sure cut rates, which is what most people are thinking right now. If he does, how much is that gonna be? You know, and we'll be able to gauge all that stuff. And I think that's important to gauge, you know, so I think that's why Jackson Hole's big. We also have the Fed minutes report, which will give us a little bit more insight into everything as well. That is on Wednesday this week. Jobless claims Thursday as always. And then we got services and manufacturing PMI as well. Yeah, Jackson Hole is big. It's one of the biggest economic conferences, you know, specifically with Powell speaking and all the stuff that means. Yeah, I remember we had a lot of people here. We had thousands and thousands of people for Jackson Hole. I'm just trying to see Jackson Hole 2023. Yeah, I'm going to try to look at what the market did. So this was August 24th. So let's take a look. All right. August 24th. So here's the NASDAQ, right? So here's the NASDAQ, the 8th. Here, I'm going to have to put this is a weekly chart. I'm going to have to put a daily chart up and change the time frame to see what the market did last time. I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to do the same thing, though, just because, like, economics are in a different place than they were last year, you know? All right. And so here's a daily chart, just over 3-year period. All right, so here is the look. So this is it right here. All right, so this is the Jackson Hole Symposium right here. So look at this big red candle. So a very big dip here. I'm curious to see what this day actually specifically looked like. You know. But look at this big dip here, big red candle. So this is the last Jackson Hole Symposium. So it looks like the market definitely negative reacted. It opened at 372.60s. So it opened up here. So it opened up really high up here and then fell really big. Bounced right back though, so it didn't hold down. But we did have a big negative reaction last time. So it's worth understanding. Nvidia getting close to those lifetime highs here also. Jackson Hole was a big economic conference with the Powell and the Fed and all that stuff. And it's just a big conference by the Fed and Powell and like all that stuff, like what he's doing, like what they're planning on doing, you know. All right. Here, I'm trying to put this up, but it's almost too small. Oh, well, that'll work. 1 million down. Yeah, definitely top 2. Taught a judo 10-year-old class Saturday. They wore me out. Yeah. Judo's good, bro. Here's the thing, though, right? Like, judo's great. Right, the martial art of judo is great, mostly because if somebody gets slammed on cement, they're probably not getting back up, right? So in that regard, it's great. The only thing I disagree with is the clothing aspect of it. Like a gi, I think is use. Like I think something that will get big into the future is no gi judo, right? Because I think you can't count on somebody wearing long sleeve, like, you know, like you have to drill it in the most realistic way, which is no gi, you know. And so I think that's the only problem with it, is that, like, if somebody comes up to you and they don't have a shirt on, like, you know, you're not going to be able to do anything with judo, basically. There's a couple things, but it's not as effective. And so that's the only problem I have with judo. Outside of that, I roll with people that train judo a lot, you know, and they're some of the best rollers. Like, we have a guy that came in who, I mean, he's a pretty big dude. He's much bigger than me. But he's like a judo guy, and you know, when you roll against people, you kind of size them up a little bit. This guy's a no stripe white belt, right? So I'm sitting there thinking, all right, well, like, let me go easy on him. And like, this dude just, honestly, he was good. He was good. So anyways. Right, I think that's the next step. I think they need to translate it to no-gi. And of course, it's going to be harder. Like, no-gi's harder. I don't know. I'm better at no-gi, to be honest. Probably because I have less experience and I'm a white belt. And I use speed anyway. Like, speed is where my skill set lies. And so I can roll in no-gi and do okay. Sometimes against higher belts, too. because my speed can compensate for it. And in no-gi, it's basically just speed and athleticism. It's a lot harder to get submissions. It's a lot harder to slow down. Top 3 worst white belt in the world right now, but still. Anyways. Yeah, there's not really much of a catalyst today. The market's not really moving much either. You know, so like Tesla's flat, basically. Nvidia's flat. Q is flat. SPY is flat. Most things are right around the previous close. So they're not really doing much. Yeah, for sure. Well, the gi is just hard. Like, if you train, your fingers hurt afterwards in a gi, you know. It depends. Like, again, if I roll against a blue belt or a purple belt in no gi, like, I usually can do okay, depending on who it is, right? Like, in general, I do okay against blue and purple belts in no gi. If I roll against a blue or purple belt in a gi, I'm getting collar choked and tapped out in 5 seconds, right? Like, it's much harder to beat. Technicals are much more pronounced in gi. Apple and Tesla showing weakening support from volume. Yeah, I mean, they're slowing down a little bit, but I think their volume, I mean, if you look at Tesla, Tesla's volume is actually increasing here. Let me put my drawer up. But yeah, Tesla's volume is actually going up. Like, look, you can see the volume down here. So, I mean, Tesla's volume is increasing. If we look at Nvidia, what is this? This is a 15-minute chart. Nvidia's volume is slowing some. So you can kind of see Nvidia's volume is kind of coming down a little bit. So that doesn't look as good. You know, the overall NASDAQ on a 15-minute chart. You know, we had a spike in it last week. But if we look at like a yearly chart, seasonality plays too much of a factor. I think you got to put like a weekly chart up. If you want to see how much volume we're facing right now relative to normal, you know, it moves in waves. I would say we're a little bit above average in Tesla in terms of volume. If we're looking at Nvidia, I'm sure Nvidia is way above average relative to 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah, so again, here's average a couple years ago, right around there. And here we are back up to like there. So we're above average in Nvidia volume-wise. The NASDAQ in general here. Put a weekly chart up. Yeah, I mean, it's moving in waves. Typically, we're in the middle of summer, but school is about to start. And so we do have... school's about to start, so we do have more people maybe... I've noticed the difference in the amount of people that are interested in the stream. The middle of summer is usually boring. There's not a lot going on. But yeah, where's gold? So gold looks like it tested lifetime highs again, didn't it? Yeah, so gold. Oh, gold broke lifetime highs this morning. So gold broke lifetime highs and now it's since pulled back some here. Right? Yeah. So right at the crack of dawn today, or really right at like early, right at midnight last night, gold broke lifetime highs. Look at this. Lifetime highs for gold were broken here. So right at the open, gold opened over lifetime highs. And then basically it's been falling down since. But gold's been very strong. Interesting. Again, Nvidia is still up there pretty big. Tesla still slightly green. Who's Mike? What's the catalyst for today? Oh, what's up? What's up, Mike? Okay. Gotcha. Oh, you're easy, Mike. Okay, gotcha. Sorry, what's up, dude? Is there an FOMC meeting today? No. No, FOMC. The next FOMC meeting is in September. But we do have the Fed minutes report on Wednesday, and then we've got we got the Fed minutes report, but we have the Jackson Hole Symposium on Friday, which is the biggest report of the week for sure. We're going to have more people here for the Jackson Hole Symposium, probably than we had over the last FOMC meeting. Last week's CPI, we had over 5,000 concurrent viewers, and so I think we'll probably still break that for Jackson Hole. I think we'll have more people here for Jackson Hole because it's such a massive event. I don't understand the value of gold. I mean, it's a legacy precious metal. It's value comes from scarcity, and gold is relatively scarce. And so in that regard, it's also been used as a historical base currency model, a historical base currency. And so people use it as money, and they have for thousands and thousands of years. And so in that regard, it's like the standard. That's why they call it the gold standard. It's also used in tech. Like you can use it in tech. So used in jewelry, No, Powell's not speaking today. No. Difference between the FOMC minutes report. The FOMC minutes report is a detailed explanation and reaction to the previous FOMC meeting. So the FOMC minutes is a report. The Fed meeting is a meeting. So the Wednesday there's no meeting. It's just a report. Yeah, I'll say this once. I'll say it again. Gold is one of the single best inflation hedges long term. Right, here's gold futures. Right, you can look all the way back to the 70s in gold futures. And I think a better chart would be, let me see if I can put up a cool different chart. Let's see. A better chart would be maybe a yearly chart. Yeah. So look, here's gold. It still doesn't give us what we want. Let's see. We can edit this. I mean, I can make every candle represent 360 days, but oh wait, here we go. All right. Every candle can represent what, a week, a month, a quarter. That's probably the easiest, and then we can put it back. Max available. That's what I wanted here. This is what I wanted. All right. So here's gold. This is gold's chart over the last 40, 50 years, right? Since 1975. So yeah, this is the last 50 years of gold, right? So again, something that I always talk about regarding gold. Here, let me get myself out the way here. So gold, gold is one of the best long-term inflation hedging assets in the world, right? You could buy gold. Somebody asked me the other day, we talked about a couple things. We talked about how much inflation kills, profits. Okay, so if you sit on $100,000 in cash, we'll do this really quick, right? If you sit on $100,000 in cash, and every year inflation rises, what is it? What's the average inflation rise? What is it? 2.5%, 3%? Let's just call it 3%, right? So every year, you lose 3% to inflation. Right, over long periods of time, your cash is going to lose substantial amounts of buying power. So look, say you got 100K and you lose 3% from inflation every year, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. In 15 years, you're losing almost 40% of your money in 15 years. through inflation, right? You're losing almost all your money, or not almost all your money. You're losing almost half of your money in just 15 years. You know, we keep going here in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In 20 years, you basically lose 50%. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In 25 years, you lose over half of your money. You know, and so if you do not hedge against inflation, against this, using something like you buy real estate, you buy gold, you buy silver, you buy the S&P 500, you buy the NASDAQ, you invest in bonds, depending on your risk tolerance, you're going to lose money over time. You know, gold is great to hedge against that, right? You can see gold's 50-year chart right here. Gold is great to hedge against that. But the problem with gold is that short term, it's always risky, you know, especially right now when it's breaking these freaking highs like this, where it's over highs. In that regard, it's kind of risky. Why? Is because you can kind of see we had a similar thing here. We pumped up and then we downtrended. Really over a long-term period, gold downtrended for a long time. Right, for a long time. So if you look at the actual time frame here, gold downtrended from highs from 1980 really all the way down to 2000. So a 20-year downtrend in gold. You know, now we had some spikes and rebounds, but gold downtrended for 20 years. And so long term, obviously, gold's great. Short term, anything can freaking happen, even over decades. And so diversification is always the better move, in my opinion, right? Like, you can put all your money in gold. I think it's kind of risky, in all honesty. You don't know what gold's going to do, especially after gold's been breaking highs. I think diversification is the better move, right? Where you buy a little bit of the S&P, a little bit of the NASDAQ, a little bit of gold, a little bit of crypto, you know, put some of it in bonds, right? And you let that diversification hedge against inflation, but also protect yourself from like something like this, where you just have long-term downtrending. No, there's no meeting today. Yeah, honestly, it's the worst thing we could have ever done is taking ourselves off the gold standard. If even our coins, right? If our coins were still based off of precious metals, we wouldn't have had nearly the inflation problems that we've had, you know? So, Nvidia earnings are next Wednesday? Yeah, next Wednesday. So, in a week and 3 days for Nvidia earnings, next Wednesday. Yeah. Yeah, for sure, Sass. Well, I mean, in the same way, like, okay, I don't know if inflation is ever good, right, Sass? Like, I don't know if inflation is ever good, but, like, to think about it objectively in this way, right? Like, think about it like this. So, I don't know if inflation's ever actually good. One of the benefits of it is that it makes our debt less significant over time. You know, an example of this, right? Like, there's a lot of ways to put this. One way is like, okay, say you spend $1,000 a month in a mortgage, right? One of the ways, like, even getting a mortgage can hedge against inflation is in the same way that it'll help us in our debt over time, hopefully, as long as we don't get more debt, which we probably will, but digressing back to the point. Say you're paying $1,000 in a mortgage payment. It's got to be a cheap mortgage, but let's just use it as an example. Say you're paying $1,000, right? Within 20 years, $1,000 is going to be a lot less significant as long as your income increases with everybody else's, which it should, right? So if you make $1,000, if you're paying $1,000 in mortgage payments a month in 15 years, that $1,000 is going to be a lot less buying power, a lot less significant over everything, you know. In the same way that if we're in massive amounts of debt right now, that debt over time from inflation should be less and less significant. You know, the key is that we have to slow down our spending in that regard and not get in more debt, which we probably will, but, you know, again, that's a different story. Oh, yeah, Drickus versus Izzy, man. I thought Izzy would piece up Drickus, and he did. Honestly, though, I think Izzy's done. I think Izzy needs to retire while he's still doing okay. I think Izzy, he just doesn't have it anymore, man. He just doesn't have it anymore, unfortunately. Like, I think Israel, great fighter, amazing striker. You know, one of the best middleweights to ever do it outside of Anderson. But again, the problem is that, and I know Drickus has like sneaky striking, like it's just like a bull almost. But Izzy should have been able to counter that. Izzy has great counter striking, so you would assume that Izzy would be able to piece up Drickus. But Drickus, man, he got him in a gable gripped RNC, a gable gripped rear naked choke. So a gable grip is this, right? Like this type of like gable grip. He got him in a rear naked choke like this, where he just kind of, which is more of like a neck crank, really. Same thing that Conor versus Khabib got put in. But yeah, interesting fight, man. Interesting fight. Honestly, I kind of discounted Drickus a little bit because Drickus, his striking's not good. He leaves his chin exposed when he rushes in, and he's kind of his takedowns are good, but they're not great. You know what I mean? So I'm surprised that, I think it's just the big picture, everything put together. I'm surprised that he could beat as many people as he does, to be honest, with his skill set. But again, what do I know, man? Like, he would beat me up. But interesting fight for sure. I bought my house 2 years ago. Since then, due to inflation, my salary went up 30%. Now my mortgage is about 30 cents cheaper relative to my salary, and rent has only increased. Right, exactly. That's a good example of how getting a mortgage can hedge against inflation too, as long as your salary increases with everything else. Yo, bro, not related to stocks. You got to sleep early every day, or do you take naps throughout the day since you stream so early? I mean, I don't stream super early. Like right now it's 6 a.m. Like I just get up at 6 a.m. 5:30, 6 a.m. and we're fine. And so, again, you got to understand, I'm in central time frame, so the market opens up, but yeah. So it's not yeah, we're fine. We don't wake up that early. Like I'm a morning person in general, and like my kids have to get up for school anyway, so like the whole fam wakes up early. All right, guys. All right, guys. All right. Tesla up there at 216s, almost 217s. Nvidia did reject that previous close. Again, I'm really curious at what Nvidia is going to do here. Yeah, I'm a like I said, I'm an early riser regardless. My wife is not. My wife and I are opposites in that way, where she is not a morning person at all. It takes her a long time to wake up. It takes her a long time to kind of get ready for the day, and she kind of lags in the morning and is kind of a night owl. I am the opposite, where I am up, jumping around, bothering everybody, annoying everybody in the morning, all giddy. Everybody else hates me. Crypto is bad, totally bad. Don't trade it, only invest in it. Well, I mean, it's subjective, but I guess. Strickland versus Drickus. Yeah, I think it'll be good. I thought Sean won the first fight. Realistically, I really did. I thought Sean won the first one. All right, guys. So gold's still pumping up, man. I might try to day trade gold. Does anybody here day trade gold? What is that like? What is it similar to? You know. Because, like, I've never actually tried day trading gold. Scary, sounds scary. I'm going to go right now. Crypto is not a hedge against inflation. I mean, you know, like, you got to understand this, guys. Everything's subjective in trading. Like, some people are going to think it's good. Some people are going to think gold is good. Some people are going to think gold is bad. Some people are going to think crypto is good. Some people are going to think crypto is bad. Some people are going to think the S&P is good. Other people are going to think the S&P is bad. Everything's very subjective. I could say I like chocolate cake. You could say chocolate cake is terrible. It's all opinion based and personal preference. What I will say is that the major cryptos, Bitcoin, ETH, are one of the single best inflationary hedges in the world. They are one of the best performing assets in the world over the last 20 years. And, you know, it's usually older people don't understand it, right? And so they just fear technology like most people that get old do. And so ultimately they don't acknowledge the benefits of it, right? And the benefits of it is that it was designed to appreciate over time. Bitcoin is essentially online gold in that way, right? And you could say, oh, well, Bitcoin doesn't have any utility. You can send it anywhere in the world. It's scarce. It's designed to be scarce, you know, for the same reason that gold is valuable. Well, people say there's no utility. You don't use it for anything. You don't really use gold for anything either, right? Gold is just a shiny rock, you know. And people are going to say, oh, well, you use gold in technology. Sure, but not nearly at the level that you would need it to justify the cost, right? Like the price of gold. So, you know, in the end, you buy it because it's rare. And crypto has been designed to be the same thing. And again, crypto has appreciated more than almost every other asset in the world. Got this Christmas music. Yeah, we'll catch back up in the chat in a second. All right, guys. Powell cut rates again. Hard to believe Starbucks went up 20%. Yeah, honestly, it's an interesting thing. So this is why, right? So Starbucks had very lackluster growth over the past year or two, right? Very lackluster growth under their current CEO. Chipotle had over 11% growth, right? And so this is what they're looking at. This is what the executives are looking at that made these decisions. They're looking at Chipotle over 11% growth. Starbucks, very lackluster. It might have been like 2% or something very small. And so, you know, with Chipotle seeing such massive growth under the new CEO or under that specific CEO, again, Starbucks basically headhunted him and was like, hey, you know, we'll pay you X amount of dollars if you leave and come here. And he did. He took it. And with that said, that brought a lot of optimism to Starbucks. Right, Starbucks is up huge. And Starbucks was already down. It was a cheap entry for Starbucks anyway, because Starbucks had this big dip, this big pullback from $90 a share back in April, back in the early summer, late springtime. Starbucks had already dropped a lot, right? So it was pretty cheap value anyway. And with the news of the new CEO, they're pumping up, and I'm sure Chipotle is down still. Yeah, Chipotle falling some. I like cake. I like chocolate cake too, bro. They overpaid that guy, maybe. Well, it's not. I mean, we could call it whatever we want, right? Like Bitcoin, you can say Bitcoin's not a currency, but that's kind of like saying gold isn't a currency, right? Like, do people pay for Bitcoin? Do people pay for, like, do you go to the store and give them gold coins? No, you don't, right? And that same reason, Bitcoin is not technically the same thing. Like, Bitcoin is not used in that way either. It's an inflation hedging asset. Yeah, for sure. Y'all rocking out to this Christmas music early this morning? There it is. Let me get past some of this. One day Bitcoin is 40K, next day it's 60K. Well, it's not a currency. Again, with that said, I'm going to put up this gold long-term chart that you see here. One day gold is $1,000 an ounce. The next day gold is freaking $350 an ounce. The next day gold is $2,000 an ounce. And I mean, granted, this is not day to day, but my point is gold is historically very volatile as well, right? I think Bitcoin has been designed as is to benefit consumers, you know. Yeah, we can agree to disagree. It's all good. Any big events today? No, not really. Not really any major ones. Tesla still trying to move. SPY still green on the day. SPY up to almost 555s here. So we'll put a different chart up besides gold. And I like gold and Bitcoin, to be fair. You know, I like both of them. Where's the lifetime highs on the SPY? So the lifetime highs on the SPY are only at 565s. We're only about $10 away per share on the SPY towards lifetime highs, which is kind of crazy. Gold is tangible. I mean, kind of. Like, tangibility, you could argue for both, I think. But do you mean you can hold it in your hand? I guess, but I don't know. You could technically hold Bitcoin in like a cold storage thing, you know? I think an easier way to put Bitcoin is kind of like a company. Right? Like, it's kind of like a company. Like, I think that's the best way I would describe it. It's kind of like a company. It's kind of like its own tech company that has its use case arguments, its utility, its value, its support, you know? No, I'm not buying those at all. The reason I'm not buying those is because I can't guarantee standards for those companies. You know, overseas companies can be very volatile and risky also. I will be right back, guys. I gotta go grab something. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Sorry, guys. But yeah, Tesla's up. ETH is a utility. Scalp gold a little this morning. I'm gonna try to trade it a little bit. I'm gonna try. You know, we'll play with it. I'm a Bitcoin permanent bull. No plans to sell anytime soon. Hey, good luck, bro. Yeah, we're starting to see some movement up though in tech. Like, look at Nvidia. Nvidia almost up to 125s. Again, gold broke lifetime highs this morning too. There's the SPY. SPY kind of following everything up. Tesla up as well here. But like, look at gold. Gold rebounding some too. Yeah, on the micro is going to move at $1 a tick and a mini at 10. Yeah. Oh, gold. Okay, got you. Yeah. I'll play with it. Yeah, I've never really tried it like that. Like I said, I'll play with it, but it's still a little early, but there needs to be a more liquid form of gold to trade, right? Q4. I know U4 is the E-mini symbol. No, that's not good enough. V4. That's a little bit better. X4. Z4. Alright, there we go. So Z4 is the better one. Let's try it. Alright, so there's one contract short of gold. Alright, so we're shorting gold here. We've had a big rebound, long upward trend. Yeah, we're flat here. Let me get myself over there. There we go. Probably should have started with micros, I think. This is my 50K funded account. I probably should have started with micros. Yeah, so we're going to cut this pretty soon. I don't want to test another high break here. I wanted to see if we come back down some here. Gold is right at that 200 EMA level. Kind of upside down hammer candle, signaling some selling pressure short term. There we go. Nvidia, is it really? So Nvidia up to 125s again. Wow, like look at Nvidia up here. It's dragging tech up for sure. I'm kind of blocking it right now. Here, I'm gonna put myself there for now. Look at Nvidia on the right side. Again, I'm kind of blocking it for now, but look at it up to 125s. Crazy. Just broke the last few days high again, like 125. So we got some selling pressure showed up. Yeah, 125. It's a big level, right? So it's yeah. I'm gonna cut this. It's going up too much. We're too choppy here. So I could either bet on red action or just wait for the breakdown. I'd rather wait for the breakdown here. So we'll come back to day trading later. I don't know if we're gonna do a day trading dedicated stream or like what we're gonna do, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we do an actual day trading dedicated stream, or should we just keep this stream going? Looking at our poll numbers, we asked people how much does the Fed cut. 53% say 25, 50 basis point, 22% say 50, 20% say no cut at all, 5% say something else. Yeah, I mean, nobody should essentially bet on something else, right? Like, all that stuff is very probable in terms of like bouncing. Like, we're almost certainly going to cut rates. Yeah, Nvidia up to 125s. Honestly, a fun night of fights, though, man. Saturday was a fun night of fights. So, like, Saturday, we had, not only did we have Gordon Ryan defend his belt at ADCC, the Abu Dhabi Combat Club, we also had Craig Jones versus Gabby Garcia, right? A super fight. And that was a fun fight, man. It really was a fun fight. And then we also had, again, Izzy versus DDP. We had, let me see who else fought this weekend. Yeah, we had Kai Kara France we had Matus versus Dan. I thought Matus won that fight personally, but yeah, but I think those are the times, those are the biggest times to do those type of streams, brother. So Sam says nothing happening in market, hard to see value of a separate stream. That's the point, though. If nothing's happening in the market, it's better to just do a day trading stream. So I actually have the opposite mindset of like, if something big's going on, I'd rather retain, everybody that's interested in that big thing. If nothing else is going on, I'd rather pivot to a day trading stream and, focus more on day trading instead of economics. You know what I mean? So, yeah. All right, guys. New stream gets a new algo up, yeah. You to YouTube Pro, I'll bow to your better judgment, yeah. I mean, it's all good, bro. Like I said, it's kind of neutral. Like, we get a little bit of both, right? Like, both can be beneficial. It's just depending on what happens that specific day. All right, guys. So we are chilling here in gold, watching gold. We got a Nvidia chart up. I'm put up. Maybe put like anything else moving today, guys. Like we have. Here's the queue. Again, though, like people, there's a very famous quote here. I'm gonna zoom in on this real quick, and the famous quote goes, "When in doubt, zoom out." Right, and the reason they say that is because everybody was panicking over this big drop. Everybody's saying it's the end of the world, including me. Right, including me. Everybody was panicking. I've had this trend drawn since before this big dump. Right, and so really, we've kind of been very clearly following the same long-term trend that we've been in for a year straight now in the NASDAQ, especially in the SPY. I think the SPY even has a more clean, like, look, we've been in this trend for a long time, right? And this is very clear. You know, everybody sees these trends. It's the same thing that we've been in for a long time. So when we dipped here and everybody started panicking, I did too. You know, when in doubt, zoom out. I think you have to look at the broader trend and just understand, you know, is how it goes sometimes. You're going to get pullbacks. A correction was necessary. I think the big question now, and again, I can ask you guys this, right? So a correction in that regard was necessary. The thing to ask now is the correction done? And do we continue up for the rest of the year? Do rate cuts stimulate the market in a positive or negative way? You know, what do you guys think? Does Nvidia continue its bullish strength throughout all of this? Some people are saying, look at Google. We can pull Google up here. Google very green on the day as well. Google's still down though. Fubo, I don't like Fubo as a company. Fubo's sketchy. I'll tell you that. Fubo's sketchy, although it has been on a run. Fubo's sketchy because its search software is not good, right? Like, I have Fubo. I use it to watch sports. You know, for a public company, if you ever try to search for a movie, TV show, anything on Fubo, the search function is not very good. At least it wasn't the last time I used it. So, yeah. The correction is done, in my opinion, but the rate cuts, I don't know if it's going to go up, down. Any ideas? Yeah, I don't know. All right, so AMD news. So Monday said it agreed to acquire ZT Systems, a provider of hyperscale server solutions for cloud computing and AI, for about $4.9 billion. It paid to be paid in cash and stock. They said, quote, combining our high-performance Instinct AI accelerator, EPYC CPU, and networking product portfolios with ZT Systems, industry's leading data center service expertise will enable AMD to deliver end-to-end data center AI infrastructure at scale with our ecosystem and OEM and ODM partners. And this was said by AMD CEO Lisa Su. They expect the deal to add to its adjusted earnings by the end of next year. So the end of 2025 is when they think it's going to be a net positive. You know, in real estate, we also got some other stuff going on. We have what's called the NRA lawsuit, right? And this is big. So again, to detail this a little bit more and to explain what this ultimately means, right? So in real estate, right, all I can go by is Texas, but this affects everybody, right? So in real estate, there's a rule in real estate, and the rule states that you are not allowed to have a monopoly on commission rates, right? On how much you get paid in commission as a real estate agent. Basically, you're not allowed to have a set interest rate. It's always supposed to be, or not interest rate. You're not allowed to have a set commission rate. It's always supposed to be negotiable. Now, again, from my experience as a real estate agent, and this is not professional real estate advice, you never really freaking know. Anything could happen, you know, all that good stuff. But as a real estate agent, you're not supposed to have a specifically set commission rate in real estate. You know, so if you've heard about this NAR lawsuit that's going on, the reason there's a lawsuit is because basically over a long period of time, almost everybody's giving you 3%, right? Buyer agents get 3%, seller agents get 3%, and this is all paid for by the seller. The seller pays the buyer agent's commission, you know. And so essentially what they're saying now is that they're breaking that up a little bit, and now in like the MLS as an example, number one, they were sued. The National Association of Realtors was sued for billions, and they won. The people who sued them won, and they have to pay out almost $2 billion in this lawsuit. What's going to change? A lot of stuff is going to change, but number one is that buyer agents are going to have to show houses even if they don't pay the buyer agent's commission. You know, so like it's really interesting what this lawsuit is going to do to the real estate market overall. I think it's crazy. Like, you get a lot of people who try to sell their houses like for sale by owner, and they're like, oh, I don't need a realtor, I can do it myself. It's like, okay, real estate agent is not just showing you freaking homes, right? A real estate agent is writing contracts, is what they're really specifically doing. Like, they're writing contracts. And so you get people who are just really cheap that, like, you know, in the end, they get themselves in a bad financial spot, and then they lash out at real estate agents. I don't know. I'm reading this article by Ponset, and he said, quote, suppose you sold a $400,000 home under the long-established norms of real estate. You probably paid $20,000 to $24,000 in agent commissions, which your listing agent split with the buyer's agent. Were their services worth it? For years, that question was barely asked. Commissions were an assumed part of the transaction, unofficially non-negotiable. Right. So basically, like, again, as a real estate agent, I kind of frown at this because you got to pay the buyer's agent commissions, right? Like, you don't, like, as a buyer, like the easiest way to put it is real estate's tough, man. It's not easy. You know, you get people that ask to see homes over and over and over again. I've had people that I've shown 20 homes to that ghost me out the blue and I never see them again and decide to, you know, go with a friend that they, or a family member that they met. Basically, I do all the brunt work. I have no protections, and they can leave and go to a family member later down the line, right? It's a very tough job, very difficult job, right? It's a very hard job for agents, you know? So, like, this gives them even less protections overall. This new national association's gives them even less protections, and I don't necessarily agree with it. Nvidia did break over 125s, so Nvidia did break over the high of Friday. So here's the high of Friday exactly at 125s. Yeah, but the title company's gonna want more money too. Like, there's a lot of nuance of it, you know. Yeah, well, that's about right, Chain. Like, that's about right. 3% to buyer, 3% to seller's agent, you know. And the good thing is, like, if you're buying a home, a real estate agent's free, right? So the most people are complaining are the people selling homes, right? People selling homes are upset about it. You know, I don't know. I think again, I don't practice it anymore, you know, and I'm buying, like, I'm in search for like a rental property right now. I'm not even being my own agent. Like, I'm getting a different agent that I know as my realtor. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. It's definitely arguable. I think that people have all these weird expectations. Like, they expect people to write contracts for them. Another argument is like, oh, well, we'll just pay you 3% and you write up both sides of the contract. You know, and it's just like, no selling agent is going to want to do that, right? No selling agent is going to say, hey, pay me the same that I would get paid for writing one half of the contracts, but I'm going to write up both. I'm going to do twice the work for the same rate, right? Like, a lot of people don't understand it, and everybody wants to list their house as FSBOs, as for sale by owner, and be cheap, and, like, I don't know. If you know how to write contracts, sure, like, do whatever you want to do. You know, if you don't know how to write contracts and you're expected to somebody else to do that for you, you're being dumb. You know what I mean? They're saying you can't roll the buying fees into the loan anymore as a buyer. Yeah, that sucks. Is Powell announcing anything today? So Powell met with bankers over the weekend to talk about the Basel III in-game banking regulations, right? So he did meet with bankers. We also have the Jackson Hole Symposium later this week, but not today specifically. Yeah, no, for sure. The sellers, nothing's going to change. They're just going to make rules around it, and buyers are going to avoid. They're going to have to be sneakier when they avoid houses that don't pay them commission, right? Like, sellers think they're going to be able to get by and just not pay buyers commission. But buyers are just going to, again, I'm not practicing real estate, so I'm not doing any of this, but I think that this is what ultimately is going to happen. I think sellers are going to want to be cheap with the buyer's agent commission, and then, you know, again, they're going to get discouraged from putting in offers in those homes in other ways, right? Like, that's what I think is going to happen. I'm not saying I agree with it, but, like, you can't short the buyer's agent and expect to sell your home easily, expect other people to do twice the amount of work. You know, we're going just by industry standards. Selling homes is a tough job too, agent-wise, right? Like, it's, again, no money is guaranteed. You know what I mean? Like, people, like, this is what happens most of the time, is that people list houses. They get really stubborn with the price. They want to list them for much higher than they're ultimately worth. And then when they list their home and the agent puts in all this work and listens to them and says, hey, I'll list your home, they end up, their home doesn't sell because it's priced too high, right? And the agents are so, like, confirmation bias is profound there because, you know, the seller wants to think their home is worth this much, but it's really not, you know, and so they're more likely to just assume that it is and think that the real estate agent's being sketchy, when really most of the time the real estate agent has a fiduciary duty to look out in the seller's best interest, right? It doesn't mean they always do, but yeah, it's nuanced. You know, I think in the end, real estate agents, it's a tough job. It's not easy. No income is guaranteed, you know, and a lot of the times you put in a lot of work to not get paid for it. You know what I mean? It's not like you get paid hourly by your brokerage. Every seller thinks their home is the Taj Mahal, 100%, yeah. Can the buyer's agent deny right to write the seller's part of the contract? Well, kind of, you know. I think the change in real estate was just dumb, 100%, yeah. $18K is a lot in commissions, so I mean, it depends on how expensive your house was, you know. Yeah, like I said, you could always list it yourself, but you'd have to do the contract work, all that stuff, so it's not easy. Gotta pay the like tax. Hey, hit the like button, guys. Hit the notification bell. We'll see. Again, Nvidia now dipping down. It's now back under 125s. So it's now under 125s, pulling back a little bit here. Part of me wants to buy this dip. We broke over highs, and now we're pulling back some. What if you go to school to do all like broker? What do you mean, Daphne? Hey, what's up, Daphne? Hope you're doing good. What do you mean, like, bro? So to become a real estate agent, you don't have to, or become a real estate, to open up your own brokerage, you don't need to go to school for it in a conventional sense, right? So you don't need to get like a master's degree in real estate or anything like that. Like, it mostly has to do with experience. Like, from my understanding, you got to take a bunch of courses. You have to take a bunch of courses, and like, you have to have a set amount of experience as a real estate agent first before you can apply to become your own brokerage. Not always, though. CWC, I'm sure there's some bad agents out there, but like, most of the agents that I know are honest, like good people, right? Like, they're going to be honest if something's wrong with the home regardless. Some of them are not, right? Like, some of them are not. Usually it's the more desperate ones, you know? Like, again, an example of this is like, I had a guy, you know, I have my real estate license, and so I had a guy that I was talking to for a little while. That we were going to create like a real estate podcast, you know. It was him and some other guy that was also kind of weird, to be honest, but that's a different story. But anyways, this guy was desperate. He had like a family. He you know, and I could tell he was just desperate, right? And like, he sees me, I'm in a nice car, like, I'm in a nice house, right? Like, none of it is paid for by real estate like that, you know. But I think the picture of that made him just, you know, again, you see like personality mirroring. You see like, you know, oh, I'm your best friend. This dude literally is like, love you, bro, within like meeting me like once. The next time, love you, bro. He's trying to be my best freaking friend, right? Like, my best freaking friend. And, you know, again, he was like working with this brokerage that I knew. He wanted to be my best freaking friend, right? Like, acting like my best buddy. Best buddy would call me all the time. And it was just too early. It was just like, you could see what his motivation was, which is like, he wanted a free ride. He wanted to just piggyback off of whatever I was doing and he thought that he could personality mirror and be my best bud or whatever. Eventually, like, I just kind of ghosted him. I stopped answering the phone. Later on down the line, I hear that he basically, like, I'm not gonna say committed fraud, but he basically, like, lied. I was talking to the broker head that I'm at, right, and she was telling me, like, this guy, he did a bunch of sketchy stuff, you know, and again, he was desperate. He didn't have a lot of sales. He was desperate to get sales done. He was in a transaction with some other person and, like, basically misleaded his client in order to get the transaction done, or lied. I don't know if he directly lied to him or what. But again, like, in hindsight, he was just desperate, right? He was struggling. He was desperate. He needed, you know, whatever. And, yeah. Yeah, buddy bombing you. Right, for sure. And again, my issue with it, he seemed like a good guy. Like, maybe that's just how he acted. But, again, if I meet you and immediately you're getting resentful over whatever I've got, right? Like, you're not, like, you're just resentful. Like, you're just bitter. And I can't deal with that. I'm not going to be friends with that. You got to figure your own stuff out then, brother. You know? But yeah. Love bombing. Right, for sure. He's trying to be my best bud, my best friend. Like, dude, I got enough friends, man. And it's just so transparent. It's so obvious, you know? That at a certain point it's like, all right, bro. You know, my wife was even like he came over and met my wife. My wife was even like, hey, dude, that was weird. Right. I think you're wrong about real estate. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's certainly subjective. You know, what your preference is for real estate is subjective. You know. All right, anyways, Google started to bounce up. Google up to 167. Nvidia right by that previous close, like right over it. And we also have 125 whole dollar level on Nvidia here as well. Yeah, definitely top 3 worst ever in the world. Yeah, I mean, you could look for private listings and try to get the title company to handle everything. Again, like, yeah, it's a lot harder than people realize, to be honest. But again, it's all good. Believe what you want to believe, you know. I'm sure I'm biased as a previous real estate agent in general, you know. Yeah, but you can find a lawyer that might do it, backhoe, but there's a benefit of a real estate agent. There's a lot of benefits, right? The main benefits is that they can look at a home and say, hey, this is the risks of this home. This is the risks. This is the good things. These are the bad things. This is what you want to look into. You got to make sure, you know, this is like this. You got to make sure these regulations are here, you know, and that's a valuable thing. But, you know, again, I understand other people not wanting to pay it. So it's all good. You know, like I said, I don't even do real estate anymore. I got my license, I think, but I don't actually practice, you know. SQ, so Square, which is Cash App. I see Fubo pushing up too. Square's had a volatile year. They had a Hindenburg short report. Like, if we put up Square here on the left, top left, they had a Hindenburg short report that came out up here. And, you know, that report caused these brutal drops in them. I can't remember when the report came out. I think it was right here where it dipped all the way from $80 all the way down to like 60s, 50s. Then it kind of bounced back a little bit. I think people still use Cash App a lot. I don't ever use it, but I know a lot of people do. Oh, for sure. I mean, it's always case by case. Like, some agents are good, some agents aren't. Nvidia wants to go, and it will market open. Maybe. I think Nvidia's just got to hold over the previous closing price. You know, it's just got to go over this level here. If it could hold that level, I think that's the red to green level for Nvidia. So if it holds over this, it's technically green on the day for Nvidia right here at 125.50s, 125.60. So if it could hold there, it's great. It's technically green. If not, you know. Hey, later, Daphne. Have a good day. There's not really any economic reports. Yeah, that's basically what the report said, Matthew. So Matthew said Cash App is used by a lot of dealers. Yeah, that's true. That's basically what the report said, is that people are using it to commit fraud. Yeah, but I mean, Bat says they're deciding the price, not the homeowner, which sucks, especially if you did improvements. I mean, you know, no offense, Bat, you seem a little emotional about this, brother, which means that you probably have a little bit of bias here. What I'll tell you is that the homeowner is definitely in charge of the price. It's not the real estate agent in charge. Now, the real estate agent can say, hey, I don't agree with that price. I'm going to walk, right? Which, honestly, again, homeowners always want to believe their house is the Taj Mahal, right? But very rarely is it. And, you know, a lot of the time, homeowners they refuse to look at the market objectively, right? What I mean by that is, like, the market turns, people lose money in real estate. It's one of the most emotional things that they can go through. And so sometimes I think that's really hard for the owner to accept, that, like, the real estate market is turned and it's not the same as it was, especially when you look at, like, 2021 market was booming. Now it's much different, right? But the homeowner definitely in charge of the price, you know, definitely in charge of the price. The real estate agent can walk and choose not to do business, and that's okay. If that's the case and you really believe your home is worth what you think it's worth, then just find another agent that's willing to list it. You'll be able to find another agent, you know. We have one speaker. We have Governor Wallen, which I think is a Fed member, speaking at 9:15, so in about like 40 minutes. He's not the biggest influence, but he might move it at least a little bit. And then we also have, I don't think we have anything else today. We got U.S. leading index coming out at minus 0.4% expectations at 10 a.m. I don't know what that'll look like though, but yeah. Oh, for sure. That'll definitely happen, Surfer. Right, for sure. You can't get mad at Cash App for it, I think, Matthew, for sure. Yeah, Fubo up big. Casey, what's up, man? Kind of late to the morning stream, but did you just catch the Craig Jones Invitational? Yeah, I did. I saw some of it. I thought Nicky Rod looked good. As, you know, really nice. I think he got a... did he get a head and arm choke? I can't remember what he got. I think he might have been. Maybe it was an RNC. But yeah, I thought Gordon Ryan looked good, man. Nicky Rod looked good. I thought Craig Jones was funny, man. The main event, but versus Gabby Garcia was fun. I thought Dreykus choking out Izzy with a gable gripped RNC was pretty nice, man. I was surprised. I thought Izzy would piece him up. But yeah, it was a fun night. Yeah. Just bond auctions today. Yeah, we got some bond auctions, 3 and 6 month bills at 11:30 market time. It's coming out, so Fubo won their lawsuit. Yeah. What do you think of Disney stock? I think Disney is volatile. What do you think of Disney? Bought them 3 years ago? Yeah, I mean, you bought them at the peak, at the mania of the stock. So, I mean, yeah, I'm sure you're down. Yeah, every time I buy Disney, I'm usually buying it at like $80, $90, selling it at $110, $120, and then waiting for it to pull back again, and then buying it up and then selling it again. That's my own specific style. But yeah. Fubo won their lawsuit. Yeah, I think, again, I don't like Fubo as a company. Like, I have their service, I just don't like the stock. Where's Microsoft at? Microsoft's still doing well, over 400s again. Back to like 420s. All right, guys. So this guy did a no-gi baseball bat choke. I gotta learn this. All right, he's got a C grip. Yeah, I gotta learn one of those. What on DG? What is that? Dollar General? Yeah, I'm skeptical in Dollar General, to be honest. And it's down on the year. I'm just skeptical of it, man. Yeah. All right, so again, we're still watching Nvidia here. We're up to 125s. Yeah, we'll go ahead and try to do a day trading stream. All right, guys. So Nvidia, again, I want to see if Nvidia holds over this previous closing price. This light blue line right here. Very relevant level. Very important level to watch. We'll see. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and do a day trading stream. Q trying to bounce up a little bit. So remember, so again, to put this into perspective, guys, this week is big. We don't have any like morning economic data. But what we have this week is that Wednesday, again, Wednesday we've got the Fed minutes report. Thursday we got manufacturing and services PMI data as well as jobless claims, unemployment filings. And then Friday is the climax of the week, which we have the Jackson Hole Symposium, the biggest economic conference we've had in months. Powell should talk, and the reason this is important is because we'll get updates on what his rate decision is. And I guess, do you think Powell will be hawkish or dovish during this meeting? Let me know what you guys think. Do you think he'll be hawkish or dovish? All right. Yeah. Also, guys, if you haven't already, check out TopStep. TopStep funded account program in futures. They give you a demo. Test your skill with a demo account first. If you pass the test with a demo, they fund you with a regular account between 50K up to 150K with a 90% split, and they pay out millions. They paid out roughly $50 million since 2020. So honestly, a great way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders end up losing money, and so I think that's probably the case here as well, because most day traders just end up losing. It's a lot cheaper to lose here than it is to put up the money yourself. They are one of the most legit tested firms in the web as well. The rules are very simple as well. The rules, really favorable rules on TopStep, to be honest, once you're funded and before you're funded. But once you're funded, really favorable rules. Again, they give you a demo, test your skill. You got to make 3K without losing 2K first, and following their rules and conditions with 5 contracts max. Again, once you pass this test, the rules are very favorable, and it's just a great way to learn how to day trade. You can get this for 49 bucks if you use my link. Great way to help support the channel. They paid out 40 million plus since 2020, almost 50,000 funded accounts since July, or in July. So last month, almost 50,000 funded accounts. And so again, check them out. They've been around for over 12 years. So they've been around for a long, long time here. If you want to check them out, here's the link. All right. Let me put this link up here. There's the link right there. Powell's MO over the last few months is to lean away from direction and sit him in the markets to keep it balanced. Yeah, he's always been pretty balanced though, bro. So he's always been pretty balanced. Like, that's one of the ways I'm able to predict like CPI reports and Fed decisions, because Powell wants a balance. He doesn't want like a market disaster in his watch, like an economic disaster in his watch. He just doesn't. You know, it's just not what he does. Palantir reminds me a lot of AMC. Yeah, Palantir up big. You know, Palantir. AMC is looking weak though, man. GameStop is too. When's GameStop's earnings? I know GameStop. Let me look this up. They haven't been doing earnings calls lately for GameStop. GameStop's September 4th, so we still got a couple weeks. What do you mean futures options? Palantir will to 15 to 17. So you think Palantir is going to go down? Palantir currently at $32. You think it's going to lose 50% of its value? Yeah, we're switching to TopStep. You know, we still like Apex. Apex is great, you know, but we're switching to TopStep for now. You know, I like TopStep. I've been with TopStep the longest, you know, to be honest. So, but again, it's all love for all of them. They're all good, you know. What do you think will happen at Jackson Hole? I think that's an interesting look, right? I think Jackson Hole, biggest economic conference potentially of the year, and I think it's important for a couple reasons. The main one is we got to see what Powell's looking like. You know, if we look at the Fed watch tool, the CME watch tool, almost everybody thinks we're going to cut next month in September. Almost everybody. There's not even an option for no rate cut, right? So 74% of people think we're going to do a 25 basis point cut. 26% of people think we're going to do a 50 basis point cut. And again, that's why we did the poll here. We asked people, what kind of cut do we do? Most people, over half of you guys out of 800 plus vote, or roughly 800 votes, thought we were going to do a 25 basis point, which is probably pretty, you know, probable. Pun intended, I guess. Probably pretty probable. But yeah, it's pretty probable. We're almost certainly. But again, these percentages definitely have the ability to change. So these definitely have. It's easier to change. So if Powell comes out really hawkish, these percentages might change. If he comes out really dovish, these percentages might change. If he you know, like, so he could come out and say, hey, we're not going to do rate cuts. That would make this swing heavily, and it also is going to cause a lot of volatility that you want to pay attention to. So I hope that makes sense. What is UAA? So it depends on which company, like Johnson. I mean, people get mad at me for going, but like for, you know, I mean, again, most people are just trying to poke and find something wrong. Again, in the end, I've been with Top Step for 4 years, you know. So, I mean, yeah. But Apex is dope. I liked Apex too, you know. I have no complaints about them whatsoever. They're both legit, and yeah. So somebody say, if UAA was a sponsor and Nike decided they liked you, what would you do? It depends on which one I like more, I guess. Rate cuts, then 6 months of bull run and then recession, maybe. You know, the SOM indicator did signal. So, oh yeah, okay, gotcha, Johnson. Right, for sure. So you're defending me. Okay, gotcha, Johnson. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Future trade, yeah. We also are going to be trading on Top Step X today too, I think, right? Let me make sure. I think we got our email. Let me make sure. Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff going on today. Powell is close to an inflation victory, they're saying. Final hurdles to Fed cut rates. So, again, the week has just started. Everybody looking forward to Friday for the Jackson Hole Symposium. Yeah, so this Jackson Hole event is titled, quote, Reassessing the Effectiveness and Transmission of Monetary Policy. So it's this year's theme. Again, it's reassessing the effectiveness and transmission of monetary policy. It's the gathering of central bankers. Wall Street is going to be interested in clues on whether he's going to cut rates, how much they're going to cut rates, you know, if they're going to cut rates at all. It's Powell's 7th Jackson Hole speech, and so he's experienced in this. Last year in 2022, the Jackson Hole Symposium Powell address sent the S&P down over 3%, chat. Last year, over 3% drops from last year's Jackson Hole. And so if you want to know why everybody tunes into this conference, it's because it causes massive volatility. You know, we might have big volatility ahead this week. Equities last week went up. Mood got better. Goldman Sachs lowered its odds of a U.S. recession in the next 12 months from 220 from 25%. So basically, Goldman Sachs thinks there's less likelihood of a recession in the next year. They originally thought 25%. They lowered that to only a 20% chance of a recession to Goldman Sachs. Expectations are weighted towards a quarter-point cut, 25 basis points. We also have the Fed minutes report again on Wednesday. People are going to look at it or whether the central bank is ready to declare victory over inflation or whether they're worried about recent signs of a weakening economy. Politics is also important. We got the election year. It is an election year. A lot of stuff's going on. And so, yeah. Interesting week for sure. Macroeconomics wise, interesting week. I don't think they will cut. Yeah, I think they're going to cut most likely. So did the SOM lady make a statement explaining how our indicator is potentially wrong? Let me look that up. Did she really? So basically she thinks there's less likelihood of rates or of a recession. Interesting. We're going to try to trade gold a little bit today, too, at the opening bell, chat. So we'll try. So, yeah, so Claudium. Okay, so, yeah, so this is what happened, right? AI is breaking this down for me. And this is why AI is powerful. So Claudia Sahm, and this is all from AI, right? Claudia Sahm, the economist known for developing the Sahm rule, recently expressed concerns that her recession indicator might be giving a false signal this time around. The Sahm rule, which identifies recessions based on a rise in the unemployment rate, I think my guess is what she's going to say, and again, I might be wrong, is that this is dealing from the pandemic and like correcting a little bit from pandemic highs is what makes sense to me. But let me keep reading. The Sahm rule, which identifies recessions based on the rise in unemployment, was triggered after the July jobs report. However, she believes that this signal could be misleading due to the unique labor market conditions influenced by the pandemic, particularly the increase in labor force participation. She mentioned that while the indicator has a strong track record, the current economic environment might be an exception. She emphasized that the rising unemployment rate, which is the basis for the rule, might not necessarily indicate an imminent recession because other economic indicators such as growth in jobs and consumer spending have not yet shown significant deterioration. So yeah, that's basically what she's saying here. Do you guys agree with her? Basically, she's saying she doesn't think it's going to cause a recession like normal. So we'll talk about that, Sean, during our day trading stream in a couple minutes. Hey, what's up, Kimberly? Is the minutes mainly a recap? Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, it depends on how new to day trading you are. Berkshire Hathaway stock. Burke? I don't know, man. Which ones? Which shares? A or B? Class A shares with voting rights are at almost $700,000 a share. So I don't know. Berkshire shares are really interesting in terms of like the market in general, and they appreciate really well. Like over the last year, Berkshire Class A or Class B shares started the year off at like 330. They are currently at 450 basically. So they're up 50% this year, roughly. A little bit less, but still 40 to 50% gains in a year is pretty solid. And that's why they're so expensive. What's up, Carpenter? Yeah, I think that, again, the reason, before I even read it, you guys saw me stop reading and predicting what she was going to say. Like, it's a different situation right now. Basically, it goes like this, right? Like, everything went like this, unemployment-wise. Unemployment spiked up during the pandemic. And then, once the economy and the money printing and the QE and everything went back, got us back to a normal in the economy, it contracted heavily. Right, so everything went down, 3.5% unemployment, very low objectively. And so us spiking up another 0.5% is not great, but it is kind of like a normal stair-stepping pattern, I think. And I think it's just a little bit more polarized because of like the massive like disparity from the pandemic. Like that makes a lot of sense to me, So essentially what I'm saying is like this is more of like a correction back to normal than it is some type of deep recession indicator. And that's essentially what she said, but we might be wrong and anything could happen. I think people are really biased politically, and that influences a lot of these recession predictions and stuff. And I'm not saying things are great. Like the real reason people are unhappy is prices are obscenely high, and they still are, and they've been high for a long time, but it doesn't mean we're in a recession. And I think sometimes it's kind of music to people's ears because of that bias. And so that makes them over-predict it. And again, I really don't know what we're going to see. I say this every day. I really don't know. Isn't this bear market? No. Hey, look, here's the SPY. All right, here's the SPY long-term chart. Like, a lot of you guys haven't experienced bear markets, to be honest. Like, here's a yearly chart. SPY is up huge on the year, right? A bear market is when the market's trending down long-term. Right, so what I mean, like a good bear market, an easy bear market is here, right? The last real bear market we had was in 2022, right? So this was the bear market, and it lasted for a year plus. You know, that was the last bear market we experienced, and we downtrended in this bear market from January of 2022. Not quite a year. I mean, I think, you know, you could probably say until 2023. So almost exactly a year bear market is what we got here. If you look at this, you know, we didn't really start seeing the signs of a rebound until 2023 here, where we finally broke out of that range. I would say, you know, really early 2023. But that was the last real bear market we've been in. Since then, we've been basically business as usual, like big bullish runs. Like we've had little mini corrections here, you know, and like all this stuff, but it's nothing super dangerous, I'll say. Like it's nothing like super dangerous. Yeah, I hope you feel better, guys. Yeah, I like my sleep too. My son got up at like 4:30 this morning. Wait, did my family not tell me goodbye again, dude? Oh my gosh, bro. Hold on, dude. Or no, or maybe today is, do they have late start? Hold on, I will be right back, guys. I will be right back. All right, if I take longer than 30 seconds, you can call me dummy for the rest of the day. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Yeah, Burke has averaged 20% annual return since 1963. That is crazy. Yeah, I mean, Sam, we're not going to promote other channels, brother. Sorry, dude. I just don't know enough about them regardless, and it's just, I just avoid plugging other channels, bro. But you know that, you know. All right, guys. Hey, guys.
Love you, Daddy.
Love you, buddy. Have a good day, man. Huh? All right. Love you. Have a good day, guys. All right, guys. So we're hanging out here, guys. We're getting ready for school. Or they're getting ready for school. We got the whole family here. Yeah, hold on, guys. All right, I'll be right back. Love you guys. Have a good day. All right. All right. All right. Love you. All right, guys. Sorry. Family comes in, you know. All right. Anyways, we got the SPY bouncing up a little bit. Nvidia testing that previous closing price, still trying to hold, still trying to break. We'll see if it does. Yeah. Yeah, man, I love my kids. I always, you know, I never saw anything wrong with showing your kids you love them, you know. That's one thing generationally, like, you know, like my parents always told me that their parents never said it, like never said they loved them. And maybe it's a little sappy and you know, but it's good, man, it's good, you know. I know it's something you won't regret when you get old. So. Yeah. All right. Anyways, Nvidia right over the previous closing price, technically green on the day, slightly green. Again, the Q's still in this long-term upward trend. It's slightly green too. But everything's mostly flat, and you know, what I think we could get this week is flat, choppy action leading into Jackson Hole and the Fed minutes report. You know, I think that's something that we could get, certainly. Yeah. All right, guys. So again, we're gonna go over to our day trading stream. So stick around. We're gonna move over. You shouldn't have to go anywhere. I'm pretty sure as soon as we leave, it's going to bring you to our day trading stream. I'm going to make sure real quick right now, but don't go anywhere. As soon as we leave, we're going to bring you to our actual dedicated day trading stream. Yeah, so we're already set. And so again, I'm going to go ahead and start that stream up. And yeah, we'll see you guys over there. Again, it shouldn't have to bring you anywhere. If it doesn't, for whatever reason, bring you to the day trading stream, just go to this link right here. Again, though, it should automatically bring you there. And so again, if it doesn't, there's the link. But as soon as we close this, it should route you directly to the day trading stream. So I'll see you guys over there.